But now that we're getting the day started, we can go over my build if you guys are interested. Would you guys like to see what I'm doing? I'll let you guys know. I'm gonna like go over the build right now, and then probably immediately change it up and like try different stuff, because that's definitely one of my favorite things about this game, is trying different stuff. And we're about to do some crazy stuff today. We hit level 94, which means that we can go do some limit testing. We can go do some limit testing and throw ourselves into some really nasty maps. But before we do that, we can go over the build, show you guys what I'm working with. We'll just start with the talent tree. So for the talent tree at this point, since we're 94, we've made some adjustments, but nothing too crazy, I don't think. One of the main things that I've done differently though is I actually did start experimenting with crushing impacts. So I'm using a setup that has me using quite a few different auras right now because I have spirit on my necklace, and as a result I'm feeling kind of like some pressure in terms of my skills. I don't have enough like actual skill slots to use a bunch of different stuff. So I was like, okay, so I really like Bone Shatter, but if I took out Bone Shatter and used crushing impacts, then I would be able to use like the stun breaks armor thing with Stampede that a lot of people have enjoyed. So I thought I'd give that a try. I mean, I'm trying different ascendancies. I've tried Ancestral Empowerment. The life is always good. I haven't really done the armor one yet, but I'd rather have life, I think. I always like hulking form, and I really do think the Aftershock thing is really cool. But I'm trying crushing impacts right now, and it's cool. It's like offense defense, right? Because if an enemy is stunned, they're not hitting you. So, although they do still have like spells that go off when they're stunned, which is kind of weird. But I may even try out this surprising strength. I might really just try to chunk people with some big damage, heavy stun targets. We'll see. We'll see. But right now I'm doing this. I'm doing Aftershock Chance, hulking form. Of course, you go through Colossal Capacity, which is your extra little inventory that people are sometimes curious about. I think that's really nice. It's kind of troll, like you don't want to take it your first ascendancy. But what I did is I took life at first, or you could take Aftershocks or something like that. Or even crushing impacts first, and then when you have 2 points, you can respec into hulking form if you want to. But it is really super, super nice. You also get 4% increased strength along the way. But yeah, I'm trying out crushing impact. So your hits are crushing blows means that basically the best way to understand it is when an enemy is primed for stun, that has like that, when you're playing Bone Shatter, it has that little circle on it. And then you Bone Shatter them, it stuns them. Crushing impacts makes all of your hits will do that stunned effect when they are primed for stun. So you basically stun them early with any attack, which is pretty cool. So again, I'm using this primarily for Stampede and stuff, but things are stunned more frequently and earlier, so you can just kind of like keep yourself safe and blast stuff, which is cool. But anyway, we're still coming over the top instead of going through this path, just because it saves a few points, and I can get better stuff later on in the tree if I do it this way. Although something I did just do is I've always come down here for the brutal, for the sturdy metal, for the relentless, but I have invested just a teeny little bit more back into block. We're right now about 60% block with a new shield that we got, which gives me a little bit more block, and then I put a jewel back in there that gives me more block. So 60% block is cool. I've gone down to as low as like 40% block, and it still felt fine. But I'm gonna see how this goes, especially as we progress into these like tier 16 maps. We're gonna see. I don't really want to be getting hit multiple times in a row in those kind of maps. I still like to get hit because of all this stuff over here, but yeah, I'm gonna see if a little bit more block feels good. I wasn't really feeling squishy before, but you don't want to feel squishy. So anyway, we came over the top. I love this little talent wheel right here, but we're not playing it right now, so see how it feels. We go over here for the armor stuff into polished iron, which makes you get 50% of your base armor from equipment is added to stun threshold. I do not like getting stunned, so a little bit of stun threshold is cool, plus it's just a lot of armor. A lot of people have been talking to me about armor because I think Crit made a video saying armor's not that great. He's probably right, but I still like it, just thematically like armor. And it feels okay. We're coming down here for all the big damage with two-handers. We are reducing our attack speed a little bit, but a ton of stun build up and a ton of damage is probably worth. For mapping and stuff, we'll do the two-handed damage into the big AoE if you stun an enemy recently. Now, I haven't set it up yet, but eventually if I did like a weapon swap thing, I would probably take these 2 points out and put them here. So I get an endurance charge when I stun like a unique or rare enemy. That would be cool, but for now we're just using this for mapping. We also come down here for the beef, the strength, and then up here for defending with extra armor against critical hits, and strength is huge. Very nice. We are playing Aftershocks. We are using Stampede, qualityed up, socket with Aftershock, so we Aftershock like every single Stampede, which is cool. So you get AoE damage, and then big ol' Aftershock AoE, which is awesome. Just quickly, we jump down here into more armor, into heat proofing. 25% of armor also applies to fire damage taken from hits. It makes you very tanky against fire, and it's just nice to get more armor, and the armor path that you get ends in this, so it's really, really nice for, you know, reducing fire damage. I take a jewel socket here. I don't know if I showed you guys this yet. So in some of my jewel sockets right now, I'm actually using blue gems. I'm using sapphires, which kind of sucks because you don't get to get a lot of nice stuff from this. The reason why I'm doing it is for the cold res. I want that maximum cold resistance, and then you can get AoE, which is cool. I don't know if there's another good thing to get on blue jewels. I might have to look into that a little bit more, but I know that you could get AoE, and then there's just like 2 dead stats. So the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to go through the rest of my talents and stuff, but I switched my Against the Darkness Time Lost Diamond away from max cold res, max lightning res, into max life and max lightning res. So you get a lot of max lightning res from this jewel, and then you have to sort of figure out your cold res with normal jewels. So again, we're doing max cold resistance and max AoE. The thing that I think would even be better, I got this jewel for 2 divine, which is a good price at the time. What you can do is you can do cold res on your Against the Darkness, and then that allows you to do like this, where you get green jewels that have increased maximum lightning resistance, and then other stuff like attack speed and accuracy. So you can get things that actually benefit you a little bit more from the green jewels. So if you have the option, I'd probably recommend getting one that gives you max cold res and then getting green jewels instead. But this worked out just fine. But that's what I'm doing with these jewels. I'm getting max res for cold res and then AoE. We can do a quick jaunt down here before we go anywhere else, right? So if we go this way, we are grabbing, I don't think you guys have seen this yet either, Warcry stuff. I'll take up 1 Exalt Sail. We're kind of poor right now. So we could do increased empowered attack damage, and this is really big. Warcries empower an additional attack. So whenever I Warcry, I can empower 2 attacks, which is sick. So you can like hammer and like sunder with the empowerment on a boss, or you can just charge twice, and that ends up working out pretty nicely too. Go over here for another jewel socket. On my jewels right now, this one looks really good for me. I want block chance, just physical damage, and then rage on hit, and rage when hit is really nice. So I have 2 of those kind of thing. This one's just attack damage or whatever. Let me get this guy his little, where's this utility belt you wanted, bro? Here you go. Get you some of that. So I think I went out of attack speed and got some Warcry stuff. It just feels a lot better to have 2 empowered Warcries, I think. And it does a lot of damage too. So this is always what we've been using since the very beginning, just a gigaton of strength, right? Just massive amounts of strength, leading into more increased damage per 15 strength. I've dropped my strength a teeny bit, but it's still giving me like 39% increased damage, which is a really big, you know, for a node, right? We came down into Giant's Blood, which lets me use a 2-handed weapon in my 1 hand, right? So you could use 2 two-handers, which I did for a little while. I might go back to it. Or you can use the 2-hander with a shield, which is big damage and big defense, which is great. Coming down into just +1 of the various resistances, fire, cold, lightning, and you also get +2 to maximum fire resistance for each 40 uncapped fire res. Which, right now, I'm 2% fire res off from being at 85% fire res, so that would be cool. Eventually, well, I'm sure we'll get like a ring or something. I want to replace this ring, and eventually it will be something that I could use to get a bunch more fire res. I could probably replace this ring too. But these are okay, these are decent. But this one could probably, I could lose some lightning and go up on fire. But regardless, it gives you a pretty good amount of fire res. This right here is giving me +4% max fire res, which is cool. I like those max resistances. Then I go down here for the jewel socket, right? This one is interesting. It kind of has the dex corrupt on it, which is neat. Don't really need dex. One of them I have is for strength, got it corrupted, which is sweet. I could corrupt some other jewels too, but I think my jewels are actually fine. And I don't want to take off the max res. That would be annoying. But I could corrupt this one probably. Probably actually should corrupt some of the ones that I have that are like uncorrupted, because I have another one that has max cold res too. So we'll see. Anyway, for this little part of the tree, we are going into a little bit more armor. And 15% of physical damage prevented recouped as life. So the more armor you have, the more physical damage you prevent. And then getting 15% of that as like a small over 8 seconds heal is just kind of nice. This might not be necessary, but it's only a couple points. And then I may eventually even go up to this. But I don't think this even gives me that much armor. So it might be a little bit bait, but whatever. I like this little idea. That's cool. And then for this one, I go all the way around this bad boy. We go for damage, aftershock chance. Which is funny because of hulking form. This aftershock chance is actually more than the main node, which is pretty funny. But then we go up for here for damage with maces. Crazy, 22% is crazy for 1 point. I don't know if there's anything more that you can get for 1 point, like in a minor node. That's pretty wild. Then stun build up, and then I am going back to the 20% more damage against heavy stun enemies with maces. You know, whenever we knock people around and they get stunned, that's what we're doing right there. And then we have anointed for Titanic on my necklace. So that's giving me a stun build up, stun threshold, and 5% increased strength. Yeah, we're doing a build update right now. You're here. Then we go up for the strength and stun threshold, stun threshold, and then max life. Stun threshold, there's not a lot of max life on the tree, but this is just super nice to have. A bunch of strength, and then life, and then stun threshold. It's beautiful. We go up to another jewel socket, which we have some more cold res in. Now, over here, this is pretty easy to access AoE. Pretty nice. Just comes right off the top here because we're already pathing here anyway. So get AoE, and well, this is stun build up and AoE damage. Then there's more AoE here, and this is another kind of like a mini version of this one, where you get half of the AoE in general and half of it if you stun an enemy recently. And then there's also a lot of really nice nodes. If I wasn't putting the points here in block, I would probably just be putting any like sort of like 1 points that I have that are just kind of hanging around. I would just chuck those in the 18% increased attack area damage, because it's just free. So nice to have just more damage. But I did go for a little bit more block. If I feel like I'm not doing enough damage, then maybe I'll chuck it back in there. It's just really easy to access, and if you only have 1 or 2 points, you can't always really make big moves with that, so that putting them there is a good place. Now we come over here for more max res. A whole bunch of max res with elemental res behind it. It's getting a lightning max res because of this jewel, right? This jewel gives me max res on all the notables, right? Max res the lightning on all the notables, and all the miners give me 1% strength, which is crazy, right? It's because look at how much stuff there is here. We're getting all the little max res for cold, all the little max res for fire, all this rage when hit, and then the rage on hit, and the rage counts as like increased armor, and all of these things are giving me plus 1% max life, which is crazy, right? This one's a fun little node. Armor if you've been hit recently, attack speed if you've been hit recently. I always thought this looked so cool, so I'm glad it kind of fits in my build now, and it's one of the reasons why we're able to kind of like tolerate not having the attack speed there. And I used to even go attack speed all the way down here, and that was fine, but we're just a lot more dense up here right now. But it does sort of pad the attack speed, and that's another reason why I started dropping a little bit of block. Is because I wanted to get hit more frequently, so we'll have to see if this still feels good. Then we go to blood magic, which makes it so I don't have to worry about mana. I just use my health as my resource for casting spells. This is just another thing in the radius that gives you just damage, so just kind of may as well pick it up. Now, I'm skipping over this 1 point, and this doesn't really give me health. I could have gone for the close damage, but I'd rather have the AoE. And I definitely want this. Increase AoE if you've killed anybody recently, and just AoE in general. Then you come back down around for just melee damage in general, and then close damage. So 40% increase melee damage with hits at close range. I could put points here for more max life and hits at close range, and maybe what you would do is a weapon swap where you would put those on for like bossing or something like that, but I just haven't gone a lot of weapon swapping right now. I'm just kind of making a build that works in general and rolling with it like that. But that's where my talents are at. I'm level 94, so it's gonna take a while, but we are still gonna get some more talent points. And when I do, like if I get 3 talent points, I could take the points out of the block and I could put them into like war cry stuff if I wanted to. It'd probably actually be this one. We could probably put it back in rage, because I really like this talent where like your rage kind of sticks around a little bit longer. We could even investigate some crit stuff if I wanted to. And then I might even go for resolute technique, drop all my accuracy, stop playing Sunder, and then get just rarity on my gear, which would be kind of cool. But right now, like my next level, I'll probably just either chuck it in block or I'll chuck it in more damage and just see how it goes. But that's where I'm at with my actual skill tree. In terms of my skills themselves, they haven't changed like a ton, but there have been some changes. So Mace Strike, I don't use this a ton, but I have it like holding gems for me, or just sometimes being useful to just smack enemies with. I have it with close range, right? Close combat, so closer range, do more damage. It's melee range, so it does damage in the close range anyway. I have it breaking armor for me, I have it life leeching for me, I have it giving me rage, and I have it culling enemies, which means that like if enemies are low, it'll just kill them instantly, and that comes in handy against bosses. 5% is not super low health, but it definitely kind of helps just finish that fight, right? Which is nice. I'm using 2 war cries again, which is another reason why I had to kind of start moving some like stuff around, because I was using more war cries and more auras. But I think that helps my single target DPS against bosses and stuff. So Seismic Cry is the one where you shout at an enemy that's heavy stunned and it gives you an aftershock guarantee, right? Now it'll give me 2 of them. So against the boss, we'll get him stunned. I'll war cry with Seismic, I'll war cry with Infernal if it's off cooldown, and then you can drop your hammer and then drop a Sunder, and both of them will guarantee aftershock, which is nuts damage, especially when you are giving yourself some rage. I am dazing enemies with this one because this one's spammable. As long as they're not stunned, it won't go on cooldown. It won't give you aftershock guaranteed, but it also won't go on cooldown. So I can use this to daze them, which makes them more vulnerable to stun buildup. And it also has a chance to put bleed on them. And then right now I have my Sunder, spoiler alert, doing more damage to bleeding targets. So it's kind of like a debuff that I can spam on bosses like when I first start fighting them. Infernal Cry always goes on cooldown if you use it, but it does buff you up to do more damage as fire, which is pretty cool. This also just makes the skills do more damage. It can suck up some rage to make them deal more damage, and it just has a shorter cooldown. So one of the things I want to talk about with rage is I am not using this talent anymore, which makes my rage fall off a lot faster. So I'm not running around stacked up with armor as much, and I'm not running around stacked up with just more increased damage as much. But what I'm doing is I'm pooling my rage, or I'm not, I shouldn't say I'm pooling it. I'm using my rage, and I'm kind of like saving it, right? I'm still using it, but it doesn't stick around as long. So I can like use 10 rage. I can consume 10 rage to make my next 2 empowered skills deal 30% more damage, even if I don't have the rage when I cast the skills, right? So it's like kind of like lets you snapshot 10 rage equals 30% more damage for your next 2 attacks, which is pretty good. Leap Slam is, I know I do this with Sunder as well. Leap Slam gives me the healing on the ground. I have it attacking a little bit faster. I have it doing a shockwave, and I also have it stunning heavily more too. Because I can, if I want to have like a guaranteed seismic, I can just like leap slam on a pack and seismic them, and then I'll always have the aftershocks. That's good for like if there's like a strong rare hanging around, you just jump on their minions and shout at them, and then you can have the guaranteed aftershock for the rare, which is pretty cool. On Hammer of the Gods, we just have it just amped with damage like crazy. So we have it dealing 35% more physical damage with Heavy Swing. We have Heft for more max fizz. We have Brutality for more fizz, and then I also have just good old Fist of War. So I use this more, I use this less frequently than every 6 seconds. I could very much consider putting like Fist of War on Sunder instead, but I've got this right now for Sunder, and this just makes it a little bit bigger AoE and more damage. So I'm back to Upheaval with Sunder. So with Sunder I do Upheaval, I do Concentrated Effect, so I actually have it doing less AoE, more damage in that AoE. The AoE is still insane. Then I have it consuming Rage and doing more damage to bleeding enemies. So you can see, even when I have it, even when I have my Sunder, like with reduced AoE, I mean, it still hits pretty dang far, right? That's a pretty big attack. So that's pretty cool. So I can definitely afford to do that to make it do more damage. So my auras, I talked about my auras a lot. I just changed my necklace to give me less spirit. So we're a little tight on spirit right now. If I got like 3 more spirit, it's the same thing. If I could divine this necklace a little bit that I got, well, I'll have to show it to you in a second. If I divine the necklace, bruh, what am I doing? We could get it a little bit more spirit. Oh no, never mind. This one's max rolled, so it can't. Never mind. The other necklace I have could get more spirit if I really needed it. But not really that big of a deal. Because right now we're using fast forward to make this buff come up more frequently. I'm using precision to give me the accuracy again. Eventually I might want to drop accuracy, stop using sunder, and use something else, just so I could have more rarity on my gear. But this is fine for now. We have like a ton of accuracy, so I'm just using that for now. We're getting vitality, and I could probably drop vitality or something. I want to drop cannibalism for herbalism sometimes, but I'll do that against bosses regardless. What I can't do is I can't drop precision for herbalism, unfortunately. But whatever. This is just giving me regen all the time against the boss. We're not doing life on kills, so I'll do herbalism. Slap that in there just to have like the extra life flask recovery. We're also doing Herald of Ash, which is just like big AoE clear against bosses. I'll switch out Herald of Ash for overwhelming presence to build up the stuns faster. Berserk, I usually will probably have it on a boss because armored plating doesn't do anything, but in just maps and stuff, you can chuck in armored plating just for more armor, which is kind of cool. Berserk is nice, but it does drain your HP, which is kind of sketchy sometimes. And then, of course, we have good old Stampede. Stampede, I have an Aftershock chance in there because if you look at Stampede, it has a 75% chance to Aftershock, right? And that's not, I don't think that's counting your Ascendancy stuff, like your talent tree, right? It has like 25, no, maybe it is, I don't know. It's one of the Aftershocks doesn't get counted. I think it might be your Ascendancy Aftershock. Regardless, somehow it all adds together to give it about a 95% chance to Aftershock. So it's pretty much a guaranteed Aftershock. And Lily keeps trying to get right on the right side of my keyboard for some reason. Do I use Stomping Ground and Stampede? I don't. What I use though is Aftershock, Devastate with the Armor Break combo, and then just AoE. Just make it hit the whole screen. This guarantees an Aftershock basically. This heavy stuns them really easily with the Crushing Blow. Before, instead of Devastate, I was using just the Splinter and it worked fine. This works good too. You basically stun them on impact. And then they explode, dealing a bunch of damage, and then just AoEs like crazy. So just gigantic screen-wide Aftershocks constantly is basically what we're doing with that. So that's my skill setup right now. In terms of my gear, I think we probably have gotten a couple new things since last update. So I got this weapon, which is, again, it has accuracy on it, which eventually I don't love. I don't think that you really want a lot of like leech on a weapon ultimately, but like I don't have leech anywhere else, so I need it on my weapon. I've done some times where I didn't have leech and I just used Berserk to generate leech. Didn't really feel as good. This feels a lot better to me. Just feels safe. And it's a 800 DPS weapon that I got for 10 divines, so it's pretty good. It's pretty good. My helmet, I went ahead and dropped the accuracy off of my helmet already. I still have 100% chance to hit though. So, like, we're definitely good on accuracy for the moment. So I went ahead and got rarity on the helmet, just a little bit. But then I socketed it with a 2% increased maximum life. We could do Chaos Res, but I'm like just barely good on Chaos Res, so I don't really want to do more right now. So I just got the max life in there. I got a new shield, which doesn't have strength on it, but it has really good block chance, armor, life, and 3 resists. The fire resist, I need it to be like 2% higher, but it'll do. I also went ahead and socketed that with life because I was looking at it, and even adding like 100 armor like doesn't really change my armor percent at all. So like, let's just put life in there. So that gives me like about 75% or 75 life when I had a little bit more life from my necklace. It did at least, but that's fine. It's just good resist, life, armor, block, resists, beautiful. Necklace, I have it giving me strength. Again, it gives me a ton of accuracy now too. I dropped my life down, I dropped the spirit down, but I got +2 level to all melee skills, and it still has strength on it. With a little bit of cold res, which is not really that big of a deal. What I wanted was +2 level to all melee skills, and enough spirit to still like manage it, and this was 1 divine, so it was definitely worth like experimenting with. Got it allocated with Titanic. My rings, and now at some point I need to use catalysts on these pieces of gear to give me more life, or probably more strength perhaps. I haven't done it yet, but I need to do that. Catalysts are things you can do to just buff. It's like quality on a 1 stat of a ring and necklace, so I'll do that eventually. Right now, this is just giving me life, strength, and resists. Mainly, I want the chaos resist on there. Same thing with this, life, strength. It gives me a cold resist and stats, which is cool. They both are giving me, one of them is giving me accuracy, which again, I don't really need it, I guess, but because I don't really want it, of course I have it on everything now. That's how it works. My chest piece, I've had this chest piece for a long time. Just percent armor, life, strength, and then 2 resists. The armor is a bit unfortunate that it rolled so low, but like the actual number of armor, but then it did come with an increased armor roll, so it's okay. Definitely want to socket your chest piece with the armor boosters. That's good. You always want to socket weapons with your physical damage boosters. Gloves, same gloves, life, attack speed, strength, chaos res, very cool, good armor. And then boots, would love to get like 35% movement speed on these, but they have life, strength, resist, which is great. Same thing with this one, life, strength, resists, all good. And then the increased life recovery rate is pretty cool too. So, and then for my flask, I'm using a little bit of the recovery applied instantly, and then charge when you kill an enemy. And then for my charm now, I'm using a gold charm to give me a little bit of rarity when I slay enemies, because rarity is kind of a big deal. It does make a big impact, and I don't have a lot of it, but it's the kind of thing that now that my character is kind of strong, you want to start like maybe shaving things that are unnecessary and making some changes to get rarity. And speaking of rarity, I've made some changes to my my Atlas tree here. Just a little bit, just a teeny tiny bit. We moved away from rarity of waystones, and I came over here for rarity just in general, and then came down because I still wanted this one right here. I still wanted waystones to have a chance to be a higher tier. But unfortunately, we dropped it out of waystone quantity, which I really like. But I still want to go over to for the rares. And I still wanted to get the magic monsters too. But I'm starting to get to thinking, like, this is not that much quantity and rarity. And I really did like these. And I think now that I'm a little bit more buff, I eventually might want to do Deadly Evolution, which really makes the mobs stronger. The thing that's crazy is that rares get an additional 1 to 2 modifiers, but so do uniques, right? So like when you're fighting a boss, they're gonna have extra modifiers. That sounds freaky, but it does sound kind of fun too. I still wanted to get all the increased chance to drop a tier higher. I still have 1 point in the essences, and I still have local knowledge in hopes that we can get some more jeweler's orbs, perfect jeweler's orbs in particular. I keep buying like these little pieces of gear for like 1 divine, which is like a small little upgrade, but that's a really good price to make some gains. But eventually I'm gonna have to use my divines on some of those perfect jeweler's orbs. But that's where my guy's at right now. They can really screw me in boss fights. Yeah, I haven't done it yet for that reason. I think it could be really sketchy. But now that we've got that done, we can go run a little map. Go see what's going on. This has 37% increased monster damage. These monsters are evasive. That should be fine though. They have stun threshold and stun buildup. I'm trying to find one that's like not too weird, so that it looks kind of like it normally looks. Yeah, we'll see. Want this little guy? Sure. We'll find us a little mapski. I mean, just more damage is kind of like, it is what it is. This is one of the. Yeah, we could run this one maybe. They have more life though. It's gonna make me look like I do no damage. Let's try this one just AoE. Yeah, we'll show you guys a little map ski. Nothing too crazy, but we'll go run a little something real quick. Move my exalts around. Okay, let's see if we have like a cool map to do. Just something fun. We've been working on juicing up our maps pretty good. We have these like bosses. Let's see. I do want to go to this slick. I don't like the forge that much. So, but we have access to all these maps. Let's see, a sand spit. That could be kind of fun. And we do want to eventually go to this tower. I like these breaches too. We want to go down here eventually. You know, we could. I just don't really feel like doing a forge. It's just not that nice. Let's do a sand pit. That seems kind of fun, doesn't it? Let's go run one real quick. What's your DPS of most skills used? I mean, let me show you. The numbers are, I don't know if they really mean anything. You know what I mean? I don't know if they really mean anything, but we do use a lot of stampeding around, crashing into enemies, and then sundering them down too. Once you kind of get rolling, what are we even using? Am I using armor plating? Yeah. Sometimes I like to use berserk instead. I'm not really hit, but we have like 85% armor right now, which is pretty cool. But they're not really hitting me, so I'm not really getting juiced up.
I'm not ready.
But if they start hitting me, we'll start getting a bunch of attack speed and stuff. But yeah, we put more block on my guy in exchange for damage, so I'll have to see if I like that idea. But it's been pretty chill map and just kind of rumbling through the maps with big AoE. Is this guy dead? Come here, you. If something doesn't die to your stampede, just sunder him. Just blast him real quick. Actually, I need to get this cultist one. Gotta see what them hammers are looking like. Actually, that's 80k DPS. I mean, that seems pretty good. But like my stampede says it does like 4k DPS, so I don't know. I don't actually know, but then again, like in PoE 1, like tooltips were not to be trusted. I mean, you can even kill rares just with stampede. So these are level 80 though. So again, it's a tier 15 map, but it's not like a big juicer. Usually try to run my maps like pretty safe.
In the right hands, this could forge
I don't like dying.
exceptional.
What's this? What are you all excited about? Oh yeah, hold on, let me get that for sure. Hold up. But you can definitely get away with just sort of stampeding around and killing all the mobs, and then like if anything survives, you can sunder it, or if there's anything like particularly sketchy, you can chuck your hammer of the gods at it. Against bosses, that's pretty much the combo. Is kind of, I walk up to him, I'll seismic cry him just for the debuff. Then I'll probably infernal cry just to hit him a couple times, and then sometimes, you know, they'll get stunned by that first sunder if it aftershocks, then it's a little bit awkward. But you usually will still have like a hammer of the gods empowered, so you can kind of like use the second empowered attack for your first hammer of the gods on the boss, and then blast them from there with Sunder and Hammer of the Gods for big aftershocks and stuff, which is pretty cool. I don't think we're gonna do a boss right now, but see this guy, I don't know, you're looking kind of freaky, man. I'm just gonna throw a hammer at you. All that electricity going everywhere. But we'll do some bosses on this stream. But I just wanted to start the day off doing a little build update for you guys. But see how Leap Stun doesn't really kill stuff, but it definitely stuns it, so you can kind of like use it for a aftershock thingy. Definitely don't like to stand around and get smacked too much. Still don't want to do that. Oh, sure. Volatile Crag, sure. Let's fire this up. But I've been very happy playing this build. It's been really good so far. We're kind of just like taking it as we go. I guess I can talk a little bit about some of my curiosities for the future. I like Sunder, but again, if I eventually go into like no accuracy, and we want to do like resolute technique, so I don't have to worry about accuracy, and then just stack a bunch of rarity on my gear in the slots that were accuracy, what I probably would do is instead of playing Sunder, I could do like Earth Shatter, but I don't necessarily love Earth Shatter. What I'm curious about is doing like a more damage to stunned enemies kind of build, and then actually going back to Rolling Slam. Because Rolling Slam also does more damage to stunned enemies, and it's really good at ramping up stun on enemies because it like stacks days with its quality, which is pretty cool. So let's see how this looks. On the beach. Breach on the beach, baby. What could be better? Breach on the beach. I feel like Breach is something I definitely do want to spec into a little bit more. Get some really juicy Breach action on this guy, because I mean he's relatively durable, right? We're kind of getting to that point where you can kind of run around and smack mobs. And I think Breach can be like turbo rewarding too. Get lots of rares spawning in. It's kind of fun. This guy survives, so we'll give him a Sunder. Just blast him down. If you survive the Thunder, you get the Sunder, dude. That's just how it works. This guy got stunned, so I could have like hit him with the seismic cry there. Little magma barrier. This guy's spiking me. What the heck? Yeah, you need to chill out with your little poker. What the heck? Get out of here. I don't like the pokers. Any more breachers? Okay. Pretty juicy. Aftershocks on every skill use is because of I'm gonna go back to town real quick. We're doing a build update, but it doesn't mean we don't want that loot. So Stampede has like a 30% chance to aftershock from its quality. And then I have like 40% aftershock from my tree, and then you put another 25% chance to aftershock. Huh. That's not too shabby at all. I'm just gonna drop that right here and wait on that one. Then it has like a, yeah, like a big chance to aftershock from its jewel too, so. Not its jewel, it's quality. Kind of crazy, huh? People are gonna start whispering to me about this stuff. I just want to dump it in my tab and move along. Leave me alone.
Speak.
But we're getting looties, man. We're gonna have to take a look at this loot after this. It's good stuff. Divine Price Spiking. I saw that, yeah. I saw that. You need a 15. I need 5 maps, 1 exalt each. Yeah, I need them too, bro. I'm not selling for an exalt, that's for sure. I need them 15ers too, man. Not too bad though, not too bad. But I do think a rolling slam kind of setup would be pretty fun, actually. So that's probably something that I want to try next. But this has been serving me well, and I'm gonna end up doing some pretty interesting maps today. I think there's been a lot of maps that are just like sitting in my bank as like, yeah, I'm either gonna try to sell them or do them like later on. But we're gonna be doing a little bit of limit testing. Little bit of limit testing. Gonna see what we got. And then one of the nice things about, I mean, you guys probably already know this, but like with Hammer of the Gods, one of the super nice things about this ability is it makes essences pretty free. You just like you buff up your hammer, chuck it up in the air, wait till it's almost coming down, and then click the guys out of their prison and blast them. Pretty beautiful. But this build ends up feeling pretty smooth, and he's gotten a little stronger. We can kind of take a hit every once in a while, it feels like. This thing's gonna get a little bit sketchy, but I think the block helps you not get like completely overwhelmed by multiple hits at a time. I think we got all this stuff, right? And you have a little bit of armor to kind of help give you a little bit of meat. Defenses too, you reduce a little bit of that physical damage that you're taking. And then the war cries now are making me hit a lot harder, even if I'm not hitting as fast as I was before. You're really putting a pop on people. Especially once you get your rage stacked up if you're doing that, right? What does this one do? Shrines are just like the hardest things to click now. This guy's corpse exploding, I don't like that. You've got to go. Bro. Get that junk out of here then. What's this one? Increased rarity. Oh, snap. Better go. Better hustle. But like I was saying about rarity, rarity is like a pretty big deal. Uh-oh. I can't block when I'm frozen. How long am I going to be frozen for? Chill out. Chill out. I was using the freeze removal there for a little while. Not doing it at the moment, but I'm just using the rarity one. But I'm experimenting with the rarity stuff. Pretty big deal in terms of getting like, I guess uniques, but also just getting like currency to drop and dropping at like a higher roll, right? Like a shard can become an actual thing, or like an exalt can become a divine, things like that. Yeah, Stampede is really fun. But I like the armor too, just kind of running around, just being heavily armored, but I could always drop that for Berserk if I wanted to do more damage. You could even do the Overwhelming Presence just for stunning mobs even more. Against bosses, I will do that. Are you the last mob to standing? Nice. Full clear, baby. Pretty smooth. We are gonna need to get a little bit warmed up because we, like I said, have some pretty freaky maps to do today. Gonna try to see if some of these maps like double damage mods and stuff, like I don't know how my character handles those because I haven't been doing them. I've been very cautious about my map selection because I do like to level up, but I don't like to die. But I think when we have not that much XP to lose, it's a good time to kind of see what you got. We're also gonna be running some of those, oh, look at that. Some of those tier 16 maps with bosses in them so that we can level up our boss tree as well. Have some fun with that. But let's go ahead and wrap up the build update for now. I love doing these build updates. I do them pretty much every day. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you give the video a thumbs up and a nice little comment. And we will keep the Path of Exile 2 content cranking because I'm just having just the most fun with this game. Still just super obsessed. And I still have a ton of stuff that I want to do with this character. He's getting up there in levels, but I still have a lot of stuff that I want to do. And we're not done yet. Tons of builds to play. Tons of gains to make, tons of end-game content to explore. And again, if you guys want to see more of that, just keep tuning in and keep interacting with the content. That'll help us make it happen. But we're also just going to keep streaming today, live on twitch.tv, and of course our YouTube channel as well. So wherever you prefer to watch, come on in, hang out, and let's see what we can do. Thanks for watching, guys. See you on stream. Peace.